This is a picture of my grandpa in the Korean War in the early 1950s, standing next to his flat fender Jeep. And this is me, 75 years later, standing next to my Willys flat fender Jeep. To me, there's nothing more iconic than a classic flat fender Willys Jeep. There's just something about the feeling. The wind in your hair, no top, no doors, the sound of the gears as you roll through them down an old dirt road. You can't help but think about the history beneath you. The same seat that your grandfather may have sat in around the time of World War II. This isn't just a vehicle. It's a living piece of history. A machine that has stood the test of time, with its DNA still running strong in every modern Jeep you see today. I've always dreamed of owning one of these timeless rigs, and today I can finally say that dream has come true. I now own one of the original flat fenders, nearly 80 years old and still ready for adventure. Welcome back to Trail Expedition, everybody. My name is Scott, and I'm super pumped to show you guys the new rig. This is a 1948 Willys CJ2A. Now, I know it looks like the military version, however, this is the civilian version. This is a CJ2A, which is the first civilian Jeep. So they started making Jeeps in the early 1940s. With the kind of the history of it is, you know, World War II was just starting up. The U.S. Army put out a call to several different auto manufacturers to build a lightweight reconnaissance vehicle. And there's only one company that came to the call, and that company was Bantam. So Bantam made a prototype. The Army really liked it, but they said, go back to the drawing board. We want to see some improvements. Well, at the same time, Willys came forward with a prototype as well. And the military really liked the Willys prototype, and they basically looked at Willys and said, hey, we really like this, but you're kind of a small company, we need to build more of these. So that's where Ford came involved. So there's actually two early versions of this Jeep. There's the Ford GPW, and then there's the Willys MB. Bantam kind of got pushed to the side to make like trailers essentially for the military. So after World War II ended in 1945, Willys actually won the patent to make the Jeep, and some people call it Willys, some people call it Willys, Willys Overland, Willys Overland. I've heard it pronounced both ways. So anyway, this is the very first civilian Jeep. I'm going to flip you guys around here and show you around it. I'm going to show you some of the small differences between the civilian one and the military one. And by all means, I am no expert, so I may get a couple things wrong. These are things that I've just researched throughout the years. I've wanted one of these flat fender Jeeps for years. I think they're the most iconic Jeep out there, and like I said, I've always wanted one. So it's easy to tell the civilian ones from the military ones by a couple key things. First, the early military ones from 1941 through 1945-ish. So when the U.S. went into World War II in 1941, they started making these Jeeps. Now, the early military ones were known as Willy MBs and Ford GPWs, and they actually had a 9-slot grill. The early ones actually had a slate grill, or a slat grill. Those are kind of very few and far between. But they all had 9 slots. So the civilian one, when the Willys started making the civilian version, they went to the standard 7 slot. And that's what's still in Jeeps today, is the standard 7 slot. Also, the headlights are a little bit different between the military ones and the civilian ones. The military ones, the headlights are actually recessed into the grille, whereas the civilian ones, they protrude out. This one has side markers. These originally, I don't believe, came with side markers. The previous owner put those on. Kind of glad they did, because they're kind of nice to have for, you know, modern day driving. A couple of the other small differences, looking over here. So inside, the military ones actually had a glove box right here. The civilian ones do not. So mine is civilian, does not have the glove box. Another main difference is, I'm going to flip you guys over here, As you see here, there's a tailgate on the back of this. Military ones did not come with the tailgate. You can see it kind of hooks in right here. The military ones, the tire was on the back. This one's on the back just because someone wanted to make it look like a military one, but the early civilian ones actually had the tire mounted on the side right over here. So obviously this was painted olive drab, but you could tell this original color of this Jeep was actually that John Deere green almost right here. And they actually made a lot of these early civilian Jeeps that John Deere green because a lot of military guys, when they came back, you know, a lot of them were farmers, worked out on farms. They worked with John Deere tractors, and Willys was smart. They were like, hey, let's make our Jeeps, our Willys, look like the tractor. And a lot of these were used out on farms, and you know, a lot of them were painted that John Deere green color. Like I said, mine's been modified. This thing looks good from afar, but it's far from perfect. I actually bought it over 6 months ago. It's been in and out of shops. Several things had to get worked out on it. It's actually running really good right now. There's still a couple small things here and there that I still need to fix on it. Just recently, my buddy Chase, he came over, he helped me rebuild the carburetor. We fixed a bunch of the fuel lines. It's actually running really good right now. It's October, so unfortunately I'm only going to be able to drive it for maybe a week or two more before it's too cold, because there's no doors, there's no top, there's nothing. Pretty bare bones. However, I think this thing is going to be an awesome addition to the channel. It's just raw. It's just, for Michigan trails, this thing is going to be a blast. You know, it's not the most capable vehicle out there. You know, my Jeep JK and even my Gladiator, I mean, they're really overbuilt for Michigan trails. This thing is going to be so much fun on Michigan trails. You know, doesn't sit really high off the ground. You know, it's got the non-directional tires on it, the military tires. It's got locking hubs, which that's all new to me. Never had a vehicle with locking hubs. It's a 3-speed manual, and it's 4-wheel drive. It doesn't have the original engine. So the original engine that came in these Jeeps is the Go Devil 4-cylinder engine, and that engine was bulletproof. However, the previous owner put a Buick V6 in this thing. So for a little tiny Jeep, this thing's actually pretty quick. I can do 55, 60 miles an hour in this thing. It's scary, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it. The plans going forward with this Jeep, you know, I want to bring some history into the channel. I'm a big fan of history. You know, I'm former Air Force. I got all my military stuff on right now. So huge fan of history, huge fan of the military. I've always been a huge fan of these iconic Jeeps. And the plan is to, you know, showcase it on the channel. This isn't going to be something that's just going to sit in my garage. I'm going to be out on the trails, trail riding with this thing. So another thing, my buddy Justin from Atlas Expeditions, he actually just picked up one of these as well. So we've already been talking. We're going to be collaborating on a lot of videos. We plan on doing, like, we're going to take these things up on Drummond. I think they're going to be a blast up on Drummond. We're going to do like camping trips with them. You know, just all, I have so many ideas of things that I want to do with this Jeep. All right, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I'm super excited to read your comments on this one. Really, what do you guys think of this Jeep? Do you think it's going to be a welcome addition to the channel? I really think it's going to be awesome. So anyway, I'm really excited to hear what your guys' thoughts are. That's going to be it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
If you think old flat fenders are as awesome as I do and want to help support the channel, consider becoming a TrailX member by scanning this QR code. As a member, you'll get access to exclusive perks like trail ride opportunities, early video releases, and behind-the-scenes content, including builds and adventures with this classic Willys flat fender. Your support helps keep the adventures rolling, and we'd love to have you along for the ride.